r/AskReddit. What's the most unhealthy thing that society encourages us to do? Prioritizing work over well-being. This is something that I've been working hard on for the past several months. When I first joined the workforce about a year and a half ago, I thought that my job was supposed to be my biggest life definer. I would work and figured my identity was what I did for work. However, programming and it were never my passions. Nor are they today. I've had 2 jobs in them now, and they pay the bills and more. But I've found that my passions and ambitions will never be in my job/career, but in my hobbies. My job is just a way to sustain a lifestyle that allows me to enjoy my hobbies. I had to learn this the hard way. I'm a software engineer. Coding was my passion until I entered the workforce. Now the last thing I want to do when I leave work is touch a computer. The vast majority of my hobbies do not involve computers at all, and the 2 that do tend to get neglected for periods of time simply because I can't bring myself to look at a computer when I get home sometimes. What I've realized is that for me to be healthy I need to go to work hard for my 8 hours, and I do enjoy and feel accomplishment with that work, but then go home and do something else. I will never prioritize work above my life again. Tolerate all opinions to the point where we don't critically appraise anything and give everything equal weight. According to a British politician, we've had enough of experts. Duck you spam-faced prick. This is what's wrong with the planet. Basically, indiscriminately respect beliefs and opinions. I indiscriminately respect your right to an opinion, but if your opinion is ducking stupid for all sorts of legitimate objective reasons, then you should be told it's ducking stupid, not coddled or protected from criticism. Edit. This cuts both ways. Blindly accepting the majority opinion is somewhat ignorant. 2. If less dangerous. Critically appraising where you get your information. An expert's credentials and why they think what they do is important. It's uncanny, or not, how often you'll find that the opinion held by the majority of experts is based on the weight of sound evidence though. This is basically how we got Trump. I hate this line of thinking. Trump got the same damn number of votes as McCain did 8 years ago. Clinton just got 10 million less than Obama did because our turnout sucked. The loss was thoroughly preventable, but she didn't get the same support. Consumerism. Having to own the right stuff to have worth. I have family who is like this. Why are you buying brand name shoes for young kids who will outgrow them in a month? Why do you need to go shopping or eat out every day? Edit. Decent, well-fitting shoes are fine, but 4 or 5 pairs of Nikes at a time. It's not that they care about their kids' feet. For God's sake. They have Instagrams devoted to their children's shoes. A boy needs his Timbs. My guy. Parents tell their children to eat everything off their plates, even when they had enough. This leads to kids developing habits that make them ignore the feeling of being full. Many take this habit to their deaths. As adults they just keep overeating. One of many leading causes of obesity. Edit. Very late edit. I just want to stress that the issue is not this simple, and much more in-depth discussion can be found below. With that said, I would also like to stress that plural of an anecdote is not data. Which means if something is not conforming to your experience, it doesn't mean it's false. Yes, you may have been told to eat everything off your plate and you're packing abs below your chest, but many didn't fare so well. It's also very hard to prove causality as there are so many other factors at play. However, it pays to be mindful to the food culture that we predispose our future generations to. This is the case for sugar, calorie intake, and sometimes it's forcing our kids to eat everything off their plates. Also a million other reasons too. What I have written is not bullshit, but it's not a silver bullet to prevent obesity either. The underlying reason is good though, to either teach kids that they shouldn't have the privilege to waste food or force them into good nutritional habits, like forcing them to finish vegetables. Parents just need to be more mindful about portion control. I concede that forcing kids to eat vegetables might not be conducive in the long term. Thanks for all the information. But for everyone who can't handle seeing the word privileged without frothing at the bit and thinks that wasting food isn't a concern, well, let's just say that I disagree. Yeah, how is this not obvious? It's not like you've dumped enough food for a 20-year-old male on your 6-year-old's plate, right? Only give him the correct portion with healthy foods included, and then, in that case, having him finish his food is fine and instills the idea that he cannot simply eat the more appetizing options, but must also eat all the vegetables and fruits. An 8-hour workday, when studies have shown we are really only productive for about 6. We should have more time to actually live life. I spend an inordinate amount of time at the office considering all the stuff I could be doing at home. Then when you finally get home, there's only 3 hours that I can commit to housework/home improvement. It's incredibly frustrating because I have spare time, but that's time I have to look busy at work. Eat food with lots of sugar. We don't really notice it, but most food is loaded with sugar, even if it doesn't need to be, because sugar is cheap when compared to other natural products and flavorings. It also adds a lot of weight to the product, so the total weight stays the same while profit increases. Most companies don't care about this anyway, because people like sugary sweet stuff and will probably still buy it if they don't look closely at the sugar content and think carefully. Obviously, this excessive consumption is unbeknownst to ourselves, so a lot of people end up obese or diabetic. I've lived abroad for 5 years and came back to the USA over the break to visit family. Had turkey sandwiches at my sister's where we used some oat nut bread or something that sounded similarly healthy. The bread was sweet. It wasn't supposed to be a fruit bread or anything. Just they added it for whatever reason. And I couldn't even finish the sandwich. I mean, damn. I can't imagine her oat, but bread was more healthy than my go-to white bread made only with flour, yeast, and salt if you dump all that sugar in it. Fellow American here. This is honestly such a huge thing that I wish more people realized. There's so much sugar in the bread, especially the whole grain stuff, and people just don't realize it. I wish there were more proper bakeries for people to buy actual bread from. Edit, to those telling me to make my own bread. I try to, but it's time consuming, and I need practice. I generally buy from a local bakery down the street that makes some amazing sourdough. Anti-intellectualism. There seems to be a trend where ignoring expert opinions is cool. Doctors say to vaccinate my children, but Facebook says otherwise. Doctors are whack. Definitely going to side with this Facebook article with 159 shares. Holding our farts. It can lead to gastrointestinal problems. I learned to fart silently. Best to do it somewhere crowded and ignore it. Nobody will know who to blame. You see that car that you definitely can't afford on your income? You should definitely get it. I've been told I should just take that vacation because what are credit cards for? I'll answer that. Credit cards are for paying off every month while milking the company for points. In some ways it encourages the idea that what you're missing can always be found through consumption of media or buying stuff. I buy media and consume stuff. Am I safe? Only if you physically eat the media. Then yes. Also, I realized I misread the question. Sharing everything we do publicly on social media. What amazes me is that so many people willingly reveal their daily itinerary, political opinions, sexual orientation, and God knows what else on social media. If government or police came knocking on our door demanding the same information that we give so freely, we would ask if they had a search warrant. The government doesn't actually have to spy on most of us because we broadcast every part of our lives on our own accord. Worship celebrities. Take the opinions of celebrities seriously just because they're celebrities. No. That celebrity knows jack hit about economics. Desk jobs, sedentary lifestyle. Not directly, but we aim more and more towards sitting job, engineers etc, and it's impacting us in ways that we can't even think. It's only bad if you have no other activity in your life. Yes, it's much easier to stay fit and healthy if you're constantly moving around. But having a desk job does not necessarily lead to an unhealthy lifestyle. It just enables one if you're not motivated to do anything else. Yes. I'm looking at you. Bob, you work on the second floor. Take the stairs sometimes. Unfortunately, I can't find it. But I know I read a small study over the summer that said this isn't necessarily true. The point it made though was that Outside of sleeping, you really shouldn't just sit and do nothing for 8 consecutive hours. It's bad for circulation in the heart. Mostly, I think they said getting up every 30 minutes ish and taking a quick little 3-5 minute walk helps though. But I couldn't find the source. So, sorry, edit, earbuddy. I'm super stoked you guys have figured out ways to be a bit more active. Or whatever. Driving everywhere. The city I live in is not very pedestrian friendly and people drive everywhere. Even down the block, because there are no sidewalks. I live in a major US city with good walkability and public transit. I have a car, but can get anywhere with the other two. I'm on the train as I type this. A lot of my friends live in the suburbs and drive everywhere. They are amazed how often I walk. Even in inclement weather. It's a little less than a mile to and from the train. I love it. I find it peaceful to just throw on some headphones and walk. Feel shame. Especially about X. This includes our orientation and XZ assaults. In our culture, victims often feel more shame than the perpetrators. Children disclosing XL abuse is an ordeal for all parties because X is treated as ridiculously taboo and shameful, in itself a horrifying truth as to why many kids keep quiet and feel like they can't speak up. Think about how many adults shame and embarrass their kids about their first crushes. Demonizing X is a very unhealthy thing for society to do to its members. I think it's the most unhealthy thing. Demonizing X is a very unhealthy. I would totally duck a demon. I won't. Because I'm pretty sure demons are the kind of guys that take the form of some really hot women. Lure you in, and just as you get it going she pulls out a strap-on and bum-ducks you. Be romantic in ways that are actually creepy and borderline repulsive. For instance, the movie trope of a guy basically forcing a kiss on a woman who has pretty much told him she can't stand him. Or never shown the slightest bit of interest. But this somehow pays off and wins her over. Watching old movies is hilarious for this reason. AMC constantly has a movie on where the lead female finds the lead male repulsive. But in the end he grabs her and kisses her and they're in love. It's like the lesson they were teaching was, even women who hate you will eventually fall for you if you force yourself upon them. Bond. James Bond. The two-party system in the United States discourages critical thinking on both sides of the aisle as people naturally gravitate to support whichever side is most like them, resulting in people developing personal identification with their party and its successes, as well as a natural reaction to disregard criticism as merely being some trick of the enemy. This breaks the politics. Party identification not only discourages critical thinking, it decides thinking for people. When embryonic stem cell research became an issue, nobody knew what it was and no one had opinions on it. Then GW came out with his opinion on it. And suddenly half the country felt it was abortion and the other half didn't. People still didn't have any idea what it was. But everyone had an opinion. I really don't understand identifying with a party. Why should my opinions on gun control, national defense, taxes, abortion, social issues, etc. all be on the same side of a fence? Overeating. Plus restaurant portions are ridiculous. It's certainly not as bad as, say, sweet shops. But the American labor system encourages you to settle for a unchallenging position you're overqualified for, dissuades you from taking time off, and encourages a degree of competition with your colleagues that chips away at your respect for humanity. It almost seems purposefully constructed to retard personal advancement. I'm a strategy consultant who advises public companies. I have worked with chief hour officers on org/layoffs/ etc. Can confirm that some hour organizations and other C-level folk deliberately construct culture/reward system/treat employees in a way that makes them deliberately neurotic/insecure/feel the need to overwork themselves. Always disgusted me. Greatest justice I ever saw was when one of the nastiest hours leads I've ever worked with got sacked out of the blue by the CEO, whom this person thought was their best friend. Snakes eat snakes. But yeah. Don't ever believe ours is your friend. To be fair, I have worked with some very humane, very good hour people too. So they are not all monsters. Always thought human resources was a creepy, dystopian phrase. For men. Bottle up our feelings. Men are known to be fearless and tough in the eyes of society. But we are just as fragile as anyone else deep within our hearts. Which can drive us suicidal when it reaches critical points. Edit. Thanks for the first gold. Kind stranger. I really appreciate it. I was always told I was sensitive when I was a kid. And even made fun of because of it. My stepmother was even overheard saying I would turn out gay while her and my father were watching old vacation videos because of it. I was late bloomer for confidence, go figure, and a virgin till I was 23. But I found an amazing woman to be my wife and all is well now. She says I'm just enough woman for her and she's just enough man for me. To me it seems like much of society puts an emphasis and importance on getting married or starting a family either during college years or shortly afterwards, which I see as a bit of a ball and chain from being able to forward yourself in any career you may be looking at. Ducking like and subscribe.